Welcome to Generation Wealth. I'm Danah MacDonald, Associate Financial Advisor at CI Assante Wealth Management. I'm joined today by Marc Pinet, Wealth Management Advisor, and Glenn Stewardson, Financial Planning Advisor. We're all a part of the team at Assante Hydrostone, and we started this podcast for a very specific reason. The old money advice our parents used just doesn't work in the 2026 market. To build wealth today, you need a new rules approach. That's where we come in. February 2026, the Halifax market has softened, and the average home is sitting at around $600K. If you're saving the old money way, sorry, Glenn.
The old money way.
Just putting away a few $100s a month in a regular savings account, you're already behind. The market's moving faster than your interest rate. Marc, Glenn, let's talk about the FHSA cheat code.
You're right on, Danah. Like, the market's tough. The market's been tough for years. And that old money rule of putting 5% down has always been a challenge for people. I mean, if you look at the $600,000 amount you mentioned, 5% is $30,000, and that's not a small amount of change to put aside, especially if previously you didn't really have tax-effective savings accounts. And you look at people, and I met somebody this morning, they're paying exactly $2,800 in rent per month. That's a big hill to climb when you're looking at saving some money for that first home of yours.
Yeah, I think it's something we can just sort of start and say, oh, you have to come up with $30,000 and buy a house. There's a whole list of things you have to do. And first you got to live, pay your rent, pay all your expenses, stuff like that. And then if you have this dream of owning a home, you got to start putting some money away in something. And the whole idea of coming up with $30,000 for most people is just huge. And so a lot of young people just say, I just don't know if I'll ever buy a house. I just can't see it.
But before you shift your dreams, let's talk about the FHSA.
Yeah,
Don't
sure.
give up just yet.
Yeah, I think that the FHSA, which was a funny acronym to me, it doesn't really flow off my tongue, but First Home Savings Account, the government came up with that, and it's got some pretty neat rules. Go ahead, Danah, share some of those with us.
For the FHSA, the thing that I like to tell young clients when they come in is that it really combines the benefit of a TFSA and an RSP in one. So by putting money in, you get that immediate tax deduction. The funds can grow tax-free within the account up to about 15 years, I believe.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, you can withdraw them tax-free to go towards a qualifying home.
I find the uniqueness of this account, and I haven't seen the government set up any other accounts this way in the past, is you need that FHSA open to start creating that room.
That's true.
Because we all live our lives. Hey, guess what? I can't just start putting $8,000 aside a year in this new type of account. But what I encourage, clients we meet, kids of clients we currently have, because we're getting a lot of referrals from our parents saying, hey, our kid has a dream. What can they do to buy their first house? Where we're like, FHSA, we meet, we open the account. And what that does is, hey, we're not expecting you to put $8,000 in this year, but by having it open, you start accruing that contribution room. And then next year, if you have more money, or the year after, you can start really building up those savings more and more by putting more than the $8,000 allowed in a single year, because you've opened that up in previous years, and there's that extra room that you can contribute to.
So the trick is to get them to open the account, even if they start it with $1 or $100, and that's your first year. And then from there, you have kind of 5 years to build up that $40,000.
Yeah,
that's right.
Technically, you have 15 years.
15.
Oh, you have
Yeah.
15, but you've got 5 years to build up so that all at once you could put a lump sum in.
I think it's capped off at a $16,000 contribution.
16 per year?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know, right?
Yeah.
So,
So it only rolls forward 1 year.
1 year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't get to roll it forward multiple years. Okay,
No.
that's
So
interesting.
you have to be relatively ready when you do open the account. You don't necessarily want that room to go to waste. It's getting it open, getting it started is really the first step.
So coming from a different perspective, which is that it's not just the person wanting to buy the house that wants to open the account. The parents, the grandparents, people who are going to contribute to that down payment, we'll call it, they could actually encourage them to open the account. They might buy the house in a few years, but they'd have that money rolling in, and you could actually invest the First Home Savings Account, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of a question that we get a lot is RSPs, TFSAs, FHSAs, what kind of investments can you hold within them? And it's really, you can hold any form of investment in those accounts. The way that I like to explain it to clients is that the accounts are simply just a bucket. You can hold anything in it. It doesn't have to necessarily sit in cash or a GIC or something a bit more safe verbatim.
Yeah. And I kind of have the same dialogue with clients. I'm like, look, the FHSA, just like the TFSA and the RSP, are just things the government invented. They're types of accounts. They're not investments themselves.
Exactly.
And it's what you put in it that matters. And you could be more secure if your timeline's tight.
Mm-hmm.
You could go take a little bit more risk in your investments if your timeline is 15 years from now.
Yeah.
Or if you're opening this account up and you're like, I don't know if I want to buy a house, but let's open this account up for the opportunity when it comes.
You both have talked about the 15 years a couple of times, but what does that actually mean? Like, what happens if somebody contributes to it, they put the money in, it's built up, 15 years from now they don't buy a house, they just rent their whole life, they just never buy a house? What happens in 15 years for them?
It means essentially the account would just roll to your RSP. So it's no harm, no foul in opening the account, getting the tax savings, really getting that compounding growth. If you kind of know early on that you're not looking to get into the market in the next 12 to 24 months, you might hold a bit more growthier investments. If you decide at the end of 15 years, home ownership's not for you, you can roll it into an RSP.
Have you guys thought whether the government has thought this through when they invented these FHSA rules? Or is this a loophole we're just identifying today and it might not be there in 15 years?
It seems a little too good to be true at some points. And so I feel that once they're more broadly used, government's going to crack down on the rules a bit more. Yeah,
because it doesn't use up our RSP room when you do a transfer from the FHSA to the RSP. Mm-hmm. It simply becomes, I'm just going to enhance my retirement savings, and there's no real repercussions on us from the RSP
It's taxable.
side.
That's the difference. Mm-hmm. If you take it out for a house, you draw it out and it's non-taxable. That's if it comes out of the HFS. There you go. FHSA. I told you. Yeah. If that comes out of that account to buy a house, it's tax-free. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't, then it rolls into an RSP, which is really, you've got $40,000 of free RSP room that you didn't have to create.
Yeah. Or more with the growth.
Or more, and then that money comes back out and it's taxable to you.
You're just deferring.
So when you said no foul, it really is no foul.
Yeah.
Because I've had this conversation with a child of a client of mine at 23, and she said, well, there's no point in me opening it. I'm not going to own a home. Mom has a home and grandpa has a home. I'm going to inherit both of them. Yeah. And we were like, but it's like free RSP room. Why wouldn't you use it? And so that was a very interesting conversation.
That's a good point.
Something that I like to tell clients as well is the way to grow your wealth is to get as much of your own money back from CRA as you possibly can. So FHSA, RSP, RDSP if you qualify, all of those things, get as much money from the government as you can, and that's really how you're going to augment things.
And that's a good point. Do you guys ever outline the traditional way of using the RSP, using the home buyer's plan, buying that first home, the repercussions of using the home buyer's plan of having to pay all that money back over a 15-year time span versus the FHSA where, hey, you buy your first home, take it out, and it's done. Like there's nothing left. You just have the money, comes out tax-free, no tax consequences, and you don't need to pay it back.
It is the cheat code because I did the home buyer's plan and did pay it back over the years to make sure the money went back in. And I'm telling you, the first home savings account, to be able to just pull that out as a new homeowner and not have to worry about putting money back into the RSP and putting that on my taxes, that would just be sweet. That'd be ideal.
Especially if you're a young client and your marginal tax rate, that salary of yours is going to be different in 5 years from now than it is now. Mm-hmm. You don't want to put $2,000 back into your RSPs and not have that amount tax deductible.
Exactly.
It makes 0 cents in my mind.
Yeah. And especially with the RSP home buyer's limit being up to $60,000 per person, that's a lot to pay back over 15 years. Those yearly contributions get juicy pretty quick.
And what happens if you have a bad year? Like 1 year you lose your job and you can't put your money back, then it becomes a taxable amount.
Mm-hmm. It's taxable to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're opening your first home savings account and you're making that contribution and you've got a couple together, a young married couple, and they're making that contribution, whether it came from parents or grandparents, but if they've each got $8,000 in the account, they're going to get a tax benefit for that when they do their taxes up. Mm-hmm. And that $16,000, that can be drawn back out for their down payment. So under the new government rules, that kind of makes sense. It already puts them into that $12,000 minimum for the 2%. They could actually buy a house right now. So somebody's thought this through.
Congratulations, Glenn, on saying the government has thought this through for the end client. And they did this 2% thing this week.
Okay,
on purpose.
maybe not. They maybe haven't thought the first home savings account cheat code through, but they've thought about what needs to be put in.
And I think your point is really great, because sometimes we don't always think it through. Say, hey, I'm putting 8,000, 8,000 is gone. Well, your net amount is not 8,000. You're getting that tax return at the end of the year when you file your taxes. You could be getting 2,000 back, 3,500 back, somewhere in there, depending on your marginal tax rate. So even though you do an $8,000 contribution, you're still going to get some money back when you do your taxes.
And that's kind of key as well. A lot of the conversations that I've had are, but I don't want to lock that money up. If I put 8K in, what if an emergency happens? What if I need it? And kind of the conversation that I have is, okay, well, if you have the room, let's open a TFSA. We'll put the money in there. And then at the end of the year, we'll revisit this and make sure we get that money into the FHSA. That way it's not, quote unquote, locked up for the entire year in case anything were to happen, but we're still making sure that it's getting done. So, I mean, as part of the benefit in working with an advisor is that we are able to move funds around within your accounts to make sure that we're hitting all those marks.
Yeah, liquidity is key.
Exactly.
I mean, not enough people, not enough, when clients go to banks or different institutions, I don't find the conversation about liquidity and having access to cash is happening as often as it should, based on the conversation of you got to do RSPs or you have to do FHSA. Like, that's a really good point too. I like that.
And part of it too is just kind of having the tough conversations with clients of, if you come in and we're talking about investing funds, one of the first questions that I typically ask is, do you anticipate needing this money in the next 12 to 24 months? And you have to think of that realistically. And it's a tough question because the answer is default, no, I don't want to touch it. But that's not life. So based on your income, your rent, as Marc said, rents are insanely steep. If anything financial were to happen, what's the likelihood of you actually needing to access this money? And if that's the case, then we need to make sure that we're protecting it.
Exactly. And, back to the point of the tax return, what do you guys advise your clients on? Hey, the first year is the hardest. You're putting money in RSPs, maybe a pension plan at work, FHSA, and now you might be getting a bigger tax return than you thought. What dialogue or what do you discuss with clients when that happens?
What we like to do is, starting off, it's always the first year that's really the hardest. You get a lot of kind of apprehension in terms of, I don't want to lock that money away. Like, what if I need it? But once they get that tax return, there's that immediate buy-in of, okay, let's do this. This is working. I just got X amount of dollars back in my tax refund. I can roll that into my account, and then my contribution limits, instead of 8K, maybe it's 6 the next year. And it has that snowball effect, and it just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Gets way easier. Glenn?
The trick with the first home savings account is it has to be in December 31st. We don't have till the RSP deadline, the March 2nd idea. So that decision really needs to be made the year ahead. You were talking about doing the TFSA and then flipping it in there near the end of the year. That's super key, working with an advisor to be able to manage that account, have that conversation, move the money from the TFSA to the RSP or the first home savings account, wherever they're going to get the best bang for their buck. And really that regular contribution decision to be doing monthly or regular deposits into their account. It also brings up, if you're fooling around and looking at your taxes and you realize that you don't quite have enough invested, you can't put it in the first home savings account for end of February, March 2nd. You've got to do an RRSP for that. So that's another conversation to have with them.
Glenn, are you saying prioritizing the FHSA during the year and then tax planning a little bit more during January and February with the RSPs?
I actually like Danah's idea with using the TFSA, because when you pull it out of the TFSA in December, if you're moving it over and putting it into the first home savings account, in January, you get all your TFSA room back, right?
Yeah.
That just makes sense to me. And then you could also decide whether it's going first home savings account or RRSP and look at your taxes or your T-slips for January, February and see where you're at.
And then at that point as well, it's December 29th, because we like to do it promptly before the end of the year.
That's also my birthday, dude.
Okay, we're not doing it the 29th of December.
We like to do it before that.
Some of us don't work that week. So early in December.
Yeah, early in December.
Year end.
Yeah, year end.
Make the decision.
Make the decision. You're really only putting that money away for a matter of months. And then come April, if you file your taxes promptly, as you should, you're going to get that return back.
And then the options are
putting it back into the first home savings account, putting it back into the TFSA, right? Whatever you're going to do. Mm-hmm. It's fun because both of them grow tax-free.
trips down south. Are fun
trips
also.
down south. You're thinking about a flight? Okay.
Exactly.
Could be. April's a nice time to go.
So you reward yourself by the 8,000 in the FHSA.
No.
Take that
and
2,000.
then you take the tax return and go down south a little
I
bit.
see.
That's another conversation that I've been having a lot of is don't treat your tax return as free money.
Yeah. Good one.
Everybody gets their tax return and it's immediately like burning a hole in your pocket. And I'm guilty as charged.
I love because we
been
haven't
there.
talked about this before this podcast.
I know.
And this is going exactly
Right?
in
That
some
might
good
be its own
directions.
podcast, actually.
Yeah.
Your RSP deposit, you get the
Yeah.
tax money back and you buy carpet for the house or something. So
Buy
You
winter
just
tires.
turned boring on
yeah, sorry, I
expenditures.
went back to boring. You wanted
Podcast
to
is called Generation
Generation.
Wealth, Next Gen. We're not buying carpets.
not buying carpet. Okay.
We're going down
The
south.
carpet's not an option. It's
Hardwood.
FHSA again, TFSA, maybe RSP, no carpet.
CRA
Or
won't
trim.
give you
Okay.
your tax refund if they know you're buying a carpet with it. It's not an option.
It's not allowed.
If you're going down south,
No renovation talk.
Because CRA always gives me a note when I get a tax return. Do fun stuff with
Do
this.
fun stuff.
All right, do we have anything to get back to in regards
Yeah,
to the
we got on a
FHSA? Here
tangent
we
here.
got sidetracked a little bit.
the barrier to entry just dropped
Yes.
in that the new rules pertaining to just the 2% down payment on a house, how does that affect your monthly mortgage payment? It means your mortgage is that much bigger.
Yeah.
So in terms of liquidity and monthly lifestyle things, how do you think that plays out for clients? Like, is there a potential to maybe get in over your head?
There's a couple of different ways you can look at that too.
Yeah.
One is, hey, we established a savings habit to put money in your FHSA.
Mm-hmm.
The new rules are 2%, so you're going to have a bigger mortgage, but you already have that habit of saving somewhere for this exact purpose.
Yeah.
So that could help you along the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you're already used to paying $2,800 in rent every month, I'd say that you could probably comfortably sustain a mortgage, but you have to be careful about how much that mortgage is and making sure you're not kind of over borrowing.
Just be aware of all the other costs of owning a home.
Exactly.
The property taxes, that trip to IKEA to furnish the home
Yes.
at the start anyway.
There's a lot of variables as first home owners. And so in those variables, you're talking about the monthly payments and things like that. I think whether you're working with a mortgage broker or your financial advisor, they're doing the math to figure out what you actually can do. They're budgeting. I mean, you guys do this. You're budgeting for people and saying, well, you're paying $2,800 in your rent. Now you're going to change that over and make that a mortgage payment. So what can you afford based on that? And you're saving for your first home savings account, whether you're putting $300 or $400 or $500 away. Let's put those together and say, what's your mortgage payment? What's realistic? And then make sure that there's something in there for savings, going back to the TFSA or something like that. So they can also have that trip if that's going to be in their future.
Do you find that people look on Viewpoint or go shopping around, drop into an open house before doing any other preparation to buy a house?
100%.
Absolutely.
Yes, for sure. The dream is there first before the math is there.
Yeah. I'll get clients who are like, hey, we've been saving in the FHSA. True story. Saving in the FHSA. The goal is 2 years down the line. Sends me an email one Thursday last month. He's like, yeah, I think we might be buying a house before our goal. I'm like, when? What about next Friday? Can we get some money next Friday?
Yeah. Does this
We sure
surprise
can.
you? That's what people
No.
do. That's how
Yeah.
people buy houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? They get a realtor and the realtor is going to, sell them a house? Yep.
Realtor, they're approved for a certain mortgage
Yep.
at the bank or with a financial institution, and they give them the highest amount, and nobody really processes that the right way.
Exactly.
I always tell people to downplay that maximum borrowing amount. Take 20% less.
Exactly.
Right? Sacrifice a little bit because
Yeah.
you'll thank me later on down the line.
When your water heater goes and you need new heating or
Or one of you loses the job and there's only one income coming in.
exactly.
Those are struggles that people literally have, and the mortgage payment needs to be variable enough that they can manage it,
Exactly.
or small enough that they can still manage it.
You still need to be able to live a life while also paying a mortgage or rent or whatever you decide.
I think a lot of what we talked about today too, I think we all do a great job here of preparing clients for the what ifs in life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the advantages of working with us or any other, financial advisor at the Assante Hydrostone is we're not only focused on one single item, we're focused on your holistic plan and making sure you're okay for the long run, for everything that happens in life.
Exactly.
So important to have a plan, something written down. Get the
Yeah.
math. I'm a big guy for the math, so I like to see it and know what it is. And so make the deposits, figure it out, see where you're at. People feel more confident when they're in that situation.
Exactly. There's a lot more to it than just what the bank's going to pre-approve you for a mortgage. You need to look at it holistically, as Mark said. So many more factors to consider. I personally don't own a home right now, so I don't know all of those factors.
One of the things that I've discovered over the years is I use a document from CMHC. It's a big 30, 40-page PDF, and it's all about buying that first home and really walks clients through all the scenarios, unexpected costs, expected costs, those lawyer fees to close the mortgage. And it really is something I share with everybody's like, hey, we're going to buy a home next year or two. I'm like, hey, this is a great document for you guys to read through on a Friday night as a couple.
CMHC, Canada Mortgage
CMHC?
Housing?
Yeah. Speaking of that document, you can find it on our website also. We'll have a link included there.
As you just talked about your clients who are, ready to buy a house and then all of a sudden they throw it at you and you're like, okay, we've talked about this, but it's too early. You're not ready. So then you're scrambling and looking at their plan, trying to figure out where they're going to take the money from, what the strategy is going to be. Should they top up their first home savings account this year before they do the withdrawal? Can they? Can they put it in the RSP and then take it out? All of a sudden your financial advisor hat goes on and you're doing all the strategies behind the scenes because you've already got that relationship with the client.
And the know-how too.
And the know-how to do it.
Let's talk about the last minute stuff. The great thing about the FHSA is you can put money in today and take it out today and it all counts.
Exactly.
There's no withholding period or anything like that. It really is
a
great aspect.
The interesting part about that is they won't thank you until the next year they get their taxes done, right?
Delayed gratification. I can
Delayed
live with that.
gratification.
We'll be best friends next year.
Next year,
Yeah.
when their property tax come due and they've got, oh, look, we've got a little windfall from our taxes.
That's a good point too, right?
Right? Because it's delayed gratification for
And
sure.
those events, property taxes and tax returns, happen roughly at the same time
It's
a year.
funny how that happens.
Once
It's very convenient timing.
I know.
People have cash and then it leaves their accounts. So
Because you never know. Sometimes you're planning to buy a rug, but then you have to pay your property
got to put
tax.
carpet down and then property tax comes along.
And
So
all of that falls within the period that you want to go down south.
it does.
So many conflicting objectives in the
What
start
are we
of the
to
year.
do?
April
I don't
was a
know.
great
Talk to an
time.
advisor.
That might be
Talk
the
to your
next
advisor.
episode. That's the next episode of Generation Wealth.
How to get a tan and invest.
I'm gonna circle back because I want to spend just a little more time. All of us have clients who are retiring. They've got children that they put through school, or their children are now getting old enough so that they're in this FHSA in the first home savings account. They're old enough that they're going to start opening their first home savings accounts. And the parents are looking at it and they're going, okay, if I know I'm going to have some money to support my child to put a down payment and I want to do that, that conversation should be happening not just with the children, but should be with the parents. And in fact, in many situations that we have with our clients, we're talking to the grandparents as well. The grandparents want to do something to help. They've had a fantastic year in their portfolio. They've got more money, extra money, I would call it, and they want to help their grandchildren. So talking to them about the first home savings account, they've done it with the RESPs. Now it's time to help them get their first house. I think it's important that we educate all three generations. Very important, so that each of them know what it is. And the grandparents and the parents are going to ask their child, did you open an account?
Or it starts a dialogue with their child or their grandchild. Hey, this exists. Or, we think you should take advantage of it. And we're taking part of that bigger momentum of, you know what? The baby boomers are giving money while they're alive as part of their legacy. And this is a very responsible way to give money to their kids.
Absolutely. And there's also a lens in which you can look at that through kind of a tax planning strategy. So if mom and dad want to say, give $30K to their daughter, and they know that they want to do that, help her buy a home, rather than, which I've seen before with some of my clients, is attempt to pull $30K out of registered accounts. You're having a huge tax year now just to net your daughter that money for a down payment. If we properly plan, we can put that $8K into an FHSA over a number of years, kind of keep your taxes status quo. So it's not a huge taxable event for the parents either.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, love it.
Same for the grandparents.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
If you still got RIF money and you're taking money out of the RIF account and you've got extra, like I say, your accounts have grown so well in the last couple of years, then you've got extra to take out, pay the tax on it, but slide that over into your grandchild's first home savings account. Now, if you got 6 grandchildren, you got to think that through a little bit. Maybe they don't all get $8,000 depending on the size of your portfolio, but even a little bit helps, right?
You can pick your favorite.
Pick your favorite. Pick your favorite and top them up.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. They get the money first.
I think grandparents are used to contributing to their education of their grandchildren. So they've already been doing that over the years. They don't get the tax benefit. They make the gift and the money goes in, and then there's a credit that goes into it. So that the credit comes from the government, goes into the account. With the first home savings account, if they're making the deposit, again, they're giving the money to the grandchild to put into the account, and that money goes in, and the grandchild is the one that gets the tax benefit. The grandparents or the parents don't receive a tax benefit for that gift. That's a gift to the child. They put it in, they get the tax benefit. So it's like a double thank you. It's like, thank you for the gift for my down payment towards my house. Thank you for the tax credit, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the perspective I was going to add on. If you didn't say it, it's like, look, your gift is this, but your gift is more than this too.
I
right?
love that.
What happens with having an FHSA, somebody contributing to it on your behalf, but you don't necessarily have any taxable income? Is it still worthwhile?
The one thing that I would advise in that scenario is you don't need to deduct the money in the year that it's contributed. You can carry that forward in future years and deduct it.
Yeah, that's a great point. If it's only a gap year of income, now, if you don't have income, then the question is how are you going to pay the mortgage or how are you paying your rent if you don't have any income? So that's a different conversation, I think, altogether.
Well, it depends. Like, let's say you have a 19-year-old starting an FHSA. They're going to school. They're going to get credits for the books and the education tuition fees. And, they're getting contributions to the FHSA. They don't necessarily need to deduct it there. They still have income coming in, but they can take those deductions, those contributions to later years to deduct then.
I go back to the accountant or the tax preparer to decide if the income is going to be more. Like if they're articling this year and next year they're going to be a lawyer, then we should wait and do those deductions the year after, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think when I meet younger people, at 19, you can start opening these types of accounts in Nova Scotia. They don't realize how quickly accounts can grow in value. And, 5,000 one year, 100 next, and you just keep repeating. You surprise yourself 10 years down the line by having, you know what? I have 50,000 saved over and it didn't really hurt that much.
If you take your tax refund that you received from last year's contribution that you got for your first home savings account, you put that back in, that's an automatic start. That $2,000, $8,000 contribution, 2,000 in, just have 6 to go. Like that's a great way to roll that money and get it going.
Yeah.
Make 5%, you're up another $400 per year. Just keeps going.
I have this chart that I like to show younger clients when they come in, and they don't necessarily have a huge nest egg to invest right off the bat, but they just got their first job and they can comfortably set aside $200 a pay, which is great. Once you get in that habit, I like to show them this chart that is essentially the compounding effect, which is just a hockey stick. You put that money in, you let compounding do the work for you when you're young, you'll be surprised how much money you have at the end of the day.
I think by doing that, you're getting people excited about savings, which makes me excited when I have somebody who just likes saving their money and then we do something creative, goal purpose, like the house we're talking about today or anything else they have on their minds. I truly love it. Like it gives me a reason more to go to work in the morning.
It's so fun when you see that click in somebody's brain and they're so excited to do it, and it's just so rewarding. The rules of wealth have evolved. Make sure you have a team that's evolved with them. I'm Danah with Marc and Glenn. We'll see you in the next episode of Generation Wealth.